Hey, what's up, online community? And thanks for stopping by and checking out another segment of Str8 No Chaser, where I get to talk sports and culture for fans, all the times with the fans. Now, today's show is a very special show to me because it is the first show of 2021. That's right, our first show, 2021. And with that, I have a very special guest with joining me today because, as we all know, at the beginning of the new year, many people commit to different types of lifestyle changes. They have goals they set for themselves. And I wanted to bring in this person because I think her story can be an inspiration to those people out there that are looking at making a health and wellness lifestyle change or just looking for a little bit of motivation. So I'd like to welcome to today's show, Ursula Morrow Carter. Thank you for joining me on Str8 No Chaser. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So today's guest, Ursula, she is a she is a bodybuilding competitor. She's competed in Physique, and she will also be moving into competitive bodybuilding for women. So with that, I know there are many people that have New Year's resolutions, they have goals, lifestyle changes, but to hear her story is truly immaculate. And having known Ursula for some time and seen the transformation and the evolution of where she just set a simple goal for herself to now expanding upon that and being one of the up and rising competitors in the industry, I wanted to be able to share that with you. But before we get into it, you know how we do it. Grab your favorite libation, raise them up, and we're about to get into it. Str8 No Chaser. Salud. So Ursula, for our audience out there, talk a little bit about your background and kind of what prompted you to get into bodybuilding and your athletic background and things like that.
So as you know, because we went to school together, I've always been kind of athletic. I actually started running track when I was like in 5th grade. And so that competitive and athletic lifestyle was a part of who I was. I was a big fan of my big brother who, of course, as a young man was always lifting weights, and I would down the basement and get his weights and try to lift it. So through high school, run track and all that kind of stuff. But the biggest difference, and when I got out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps. So I've always been pretty much in an active lifestyle. 19, 20 years as a police officer, everything has been active. However, a couple of years ago, things changed a little bit for me. I had a surgery that did not go as well as it should have. And I found myself in a hospital for about a month fighting for my life.
Oh, wow.
So that is where this actually came from. Coming around to the anniversary of that illness, my first goal was just to be as healthy as I possibly could for I think it was my 46th birthday. So that was a goal, start eating better. I'm 46, yeah, because I'm 47 now. This year I'll be 48. So just wanted to be as healthy as I could at 46. So I started eating better, started working out a little bit. And as I began to do it, I realized I was putting on muscle. Now, being a bodybuilder was an old dream, aspiration of mine. My oldest son, who is 26, he'll be 27 next month, he knew it. So when I told him, hey, I think I'm going to finally do it, I just kept having children, so then it never happened. At this age, I was like, I think I'm still going to do it. He was go do it, mom, blah, blah, blah. Started training. By my 46th birthday, when it hit, I felt better than I had in the previous 10 years. Kept going, kept training, kept going.
And I think you said something
okay.
that are relatable to people because it was something that you started later on in life. It was something that you just kind of naturally evolved. You started at one point and you started to see changes and make gains, and you evolved to another point. But then also, one of the things that many of us can relate to, you also have a life outside of just this. You say you started when you were 46 years old, correct? Started at 46,
mm-hmm.
And you're a mom. You've had several children. So you're in my eyes, I see you as every woman. I see you as someone that is relatable because looking at some of the challenges that you've overcome in terms of being able to get into this, not just this mindset, but this lifestyle. These are everyday challenges that we can incur as individuals and parents.
Right.
Talk about how you handle some of those challenges. First, let's talk about you noticed that you were bulking up. Talk about the
Mhm.
challenges and some of the misconceptions about bulking and things like that as it relates to women and health and wellness.
Okay. Well, first of all, your biggest challenge at that age, and me being a mother of three, maybe some women have two, five, whatever. The biggest challenge is going to be right here, because it's so easy to think I'm too old for this.
Absolutely.
My body can't handle it. My joints can't handle it. I'm going to get hurt. So the biggest challenge with almost everything we do in life, making a decision, starts here.
Absolutely.
So once you conquer this, then everything else gets a bit easier. Having a great support system, my children were very supportive. That helped a whole lot. So that was a challenge, because you still have to, especially with this pandemic, now you have kids who are at home, because they need to be homeschooled. You're trying to manage that side of it. And then there are physical issues that you deal with as a woman who has had 3 children. Parts of you have stretched and is not coming back together as quickly as maybe some of the younger ones who have not, had children or whatever. So those were all the obstacles that I did have to deal with. Now, as far as bulking is pretty much, there are 2 different phases with bodybuilding. There's the off season, which is the bulking season. During the season, which is what I'm in now, is when you eat more carbs, because the carbs give you the energy to go into the gym to lift heavier so you can build mass.
Absolutely.
The goal is to eat healthy carbs, the potatoes, the rice. I don't always do that great, and it's okay to have a moment, where because you want to be realistic. So it's okay to have a cheat meal or whatever, just as long as you don't completely lose it. Believe it or not, the biggest difficulty for me in bulking is that I actually don't eat a lot. And that is, it is opposing everything that I want to do, especially switching to bodybuilding, because I need to eat more. We eat 5 to 6 meals a day every 3 hours. And that is sometimes very difficult for me. So that is where I struggle sometimes. But this is the season that I'm in now. I think can you still hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, because I couldn't see you. Okay, so this is the season that I'm in now, where I am bulking and eating more to put on the mass. My goal for this year, what I would like to do, is to compete like somewhere around October, November, somewhere towards the end of the year. So during this time, I'm going to be eating more, putting on more mass, putting on more muscle. And then there's the shredding period. As I get closer to the competition time, then I'll begin to do what is called shredding, which means I'll just cut back on the amount of carbs that I'm eating. I'll increase my cardio so that I can begin to burn off any excess fat, so that when I hit the stage, muscle is exposed. Now, the challenges as a mom when you're doing that, the kids are going to be real good with the bulking phase, because you bring in all kind of food in the house. They don't mind.
Yes.
The shredding phase is a little more difficult, because you're not, I'm 0 sugar. I got sugar-free ketchup, sugar-free this. The kids ain't feeling that. So then you're posed with, do I make my children suffer while I'm suffering, or do I have all these Doritos, cakes, and cookies in front of my face for weeks and not touch it? I ain't good at that. So me and my son have an agreement. We have an understanding. I will get him the snacks. He can have them. He locks them in his room and he watches them. And if he sees me coming near his room, what are you doing? You can't have that. So we're a team, because it's hard, especially people don't realize the leaner your body becomes, the less body fat you have, your body actually craves more. So whatever cravings you've been having, yes, the leaner you are, it becomes ridiculous. And women, you already have hormonal cravings. Can you imagine having those while you're not eating anything? Because at the end, this is very difficult. At the end, I was down to maybe 600 calories a day.
Really? Oh my, that's almost,
So that's nothing.
Yeah.
You can't even go to McDonald's and get a burger. That's gonna be your meal for the day, because that's it. So
That's my
it is
drink
a
right now.
lot
That's
of
my cocktail.
right.
And
Right. So you done.
I'm shredded.
You done for the day. Drink it slow.
Enjoy the life.
So
That is no refills, no top off.
no refills, no. Crunch on that ice and enjoy it. So it is a very disciplined sport because unlike any other sport, it's only you on stage. I don't care who you working out with. I don't care who you're training with.
Absolutely.
Nobody's body is the same. You don't know how your body is. First of all, first year is a learning experience anyway, because what worked for this person to eat to get them lean may not work for you. Your body may not respond to that. So now you're trying to figure it out. And when you get up on that stage, it's just you. It's just you. They can't come there with you. They can't make you look good.
Absolutely.
It's just you.
So before
This
we
is
talk
the
about
most disciplined sport I've done.
so and it sounds like it's a lot that goes into it. Before we talk about the actual stage piece and the competitive nature of it, I want to take a step back. You talked about having a support group because it requires discipline. And I know, like, for example, you have many people that make resolutions that they want to eat better, that they want to commit to a healthier lifestyle, whether it's engaging in more physical activity, going to the gym, or just not being as sedentary around the house. Those are things that people may be challenged with, and you hear those things, and to hear someone like you take this next step. This is more than just losing weight or adding a couple pounds. This is a full-on lifestyle commitment that needs change, but also more importantly, I've heard you, if I'm hearing you correctly, I've heard you say that you need to have that right support system around you. And it's not just the people in the gym, it's probably more importantly, the people inside those four walls with you in your home. Because that's where the temptation may lie, whether it's you may not want to get up to work out for that day, or something that you shouldn't be eating or consuming, or how often you should be consuming. That's where the support comes in. So would you say that's probably one of the most key things in terms of helping you maintain that mental edge that you commented on earlier?
Absolutely. Can you imagine being married or living with someone in a relationship and that person does not support your dream? Can you imagine being married to someone and you're consuming 500 and something calories a day and he or she wants a full-blown meal? Like they not consuming 500 and some calories a day.
Right.
So that can be if they are not supporting you in it, the mental stress and everything affects this sport. So stress affects your body. That stress will cause you to hold on to weight, water weight. You get on stage and now you look like garbage, not because you didn't do the work, but because you were stressed out. I was in school for a PhD program. I had to stop that program to concentrate on this because that PhD program is stressful.
Yes.
I can't do both at the same time because eventually what was going to happen is I would have failed at both. That's what would have happened. Trying to keep up the workout regimen and the homework and the assignments, it was too much. So it is a very, very disciplined sport. And yes, those people around you, man, your entire environment, before you even go into it, coaches will tell you if you are dealing with relationship issues, if you don't have finances, because this sport is not cheap.
Okay.
It's very expensive. Every part, the gym memberships, the food, I spend more money on healthy food because all of us know for whatever reason, they don't make healthy food inexpensive.
No, not at all.
It is very, they just don't want us to be healthy. I don't know. So the food is expensive and you're eating 5 to 6 meals a day. And at one point I had a coach who, because of how my body was responding, the only fats he wanted me to have having a salmon and a steak meal every day. Do you know how expensive salmon and steak is? Yes. So now going into this, your finances have to be right because you're going to spend thousands on your food forget everything else, the shows, what they call. I got an inexpensive suit for the competition. We wear the little bikinis, pretty much.
Yeah.
That mine was cheap and it was almost $800. That was a cheap one. Women are spending thousands on those little bitty swimsuits that we wear on stage. It's not cheap. You put your drink down.
You know, I was gonna take a sip, but I'm like, you know what? First of all, I'm trying not to consume all my 600 calories in one sitting. You know, like you said, sip it slow and crush the ice. But also, when you said, you know, I'm a numbers guy, so I'm doing the computations in my head, you know, and the suit, and I saw it, you know, and I've seen the videos. You look great. It looked amazing. And it's not to downplay the suit itself, but not really having a grasp of the magnitude in terms of the cost of that suit, because it is for something, you know, something that's dedicated. Wow, that's amazing. I did not understand, because when we think the cost associated with sports, we think your traditional sports. We think, you know, your basketball for your travel, or we think even if you're in an individualized sports such as tennis or golf, we think those to be kind of your high-end exclusive sports. But we don't think about something like this in terms of, because it's not a fixed in-your-face cost, and it's not viewed as such, that really there is a financial commitment in addition to the mental aspect. So that's something that I wasn't aware. Thanks for sharing it. I'm sure many of the people that are going to be listening are going to be surprised to hear that. But you know, that's interesting.
Yeah. Before you
move on to that, I want to go back to meals, because you talked several times about meals and calories and bulking and shredding. And you in your last piece, you just talked about this. In some instances, you may be eating 6 times a day. Just briefly, what does, you know, for the average person at home, and for myself who can't really grasp what that looks like, what does 6 meals a day look like when you're bulking, and what does, you know, your meal look like when you're shredding? Just to kind of give us an idea of some food that you may have at a sitting, so we can really grasp the comprehend magnitude.
Yeah, so like this morning, I just ate some cream of rice. I didn't even know cream of rice existed until I started this. But cream of rice is really huge for bodybuilders for breakfast. It's a grain, it's rice. We're big on rice. And I tend to add protein to it and blueberries, so that I'm getting all that stuff in one meal. And then the next time I may come in, depending on what time of the day it is, if it's after a workout, I may just do like a protein shake or a smoothie with banana and peanut butter in it. So I'm getting the protein to replenish all the muscles and stuff after the workout. And then from there, you're typically eating, for men, it's gonna be more, but for me, like maybe 6 ounces of salmon during the bulking phase, and 150 grams of some type of carb, whether it be white rice, sweet potatoes, white potatoes, something like that. And we don't differentiate between brown rice and white rice, either one. I typically eat jasmine rice.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. So that's, and pretty much like the salmon, chicken, these are the proteins that we typically, lean proteins. So salmon, chicken, a lean cut of steak, like a New York strip steak, one that's not as fatty. Those are kind of your proteins. And for those last few meals, that's what you're doing. You're getting 6 ounces of protein, 150 grams of some type of carb during the bulking phase. Now, during the shredding phase, my breakfast may dwindle down to as much as 4 or 5 hard-boiled egg whites. Correction, 6 boiled egg whites is what I was eating, because I was hating 6 boiled egg whites. It was horrible. And like an avocado, so a healthy fat. So it may be boiled egg whites, a half an avocado. And then the rest of my meals for the day, it was stuff like tilapia is huge towards the shredding, because it's a very lean fish. So it was like tilapia and asparagus, or egg whites and asparagus, tuna fish and asparagus. And then sometimes towards the end, notice I'm saying asparagus and not rice or potatoes, because there were no carbs, which is why my calorie consumption was so low, because by now you gradually move into that, dropping all the carbs out, whatever, because you might start lowering it, where they may say, okay, 80 grams of carbs now. Okay, only 50 grams of carbs, 0 fats on this day. And they begin to cycle your carb intake. Like you may have a high carb day just to, because that kind of jolts your metabolism to get it back on track. Because if you eat really low carbs for a long period of time and never increase it at all, your body starts to stabilize. Like you see people who they get so far and they can't lose any more weight.
Yeah.
That's probably why their body has gotten accustomed to whatever it is they're doing. And so now it doesn't change because ain't nothing changed. So they'll give you a high carb day and you'll eat more carbs and it'll stabilize. But towards the end, you're pretty much just eating a really lean protein and some vegetables to get ready to get on stage.
So it's more than just when people think, I want to start working out. I'm going to start building, I can do this, hey, I'm in pretty good shape. I used to consider myself in pretty good shape. COVID is.
You look fine. You look.
Oh, thank you. Well, what can I say? I just dated myself with a Freddie Boom Boom watch to welcome back.
Yes, you did. I don't pretend like I don't know what you're talking about because I'm still young.
Exactly. Two old folks just having a good time. But with that,
right.
It sounds, when you hear, especially if someone is active and they're in some type of active lifestyle, and they're going to the gym and they're working out consistently, and they consider themselves in really good shape, that may be really, really good shape for just health and wellness, but this is next level, so to speak. You talked about the eating aspect. I want to talk a little bit about kind of now you kind of worked on some of the nutritional components, but getting into the gym, you're lifting, but then also it's not just weightlifting and working out. Because you're going on stage. How do you prepare for going on stage? What does that look like? Because now, okay, I've done everything. I say, you know what? I'm going bulking, shredding, I'm cutting, I'm doing everything else. What does that look like when I'm in the weight room? And also, what does that look like when I'm just when I'm not in the weight room, I've eaten, and I'm preparing to go on stage? Because it's not just as simple as just walking up there and strutting. There is a lot of work that goes into that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. You can have the best body ever, the best muscle definition, just everything on point. If you do not know how to display it, you will lose. So that is where posing comes in, which is what stage is all about. You displaying to all the judges and everybody who is there how your muscles look. So posing happens, you'll see people 2 to 2 hours a day just practicing posing. How should I turn my body? Which angle is showing the muscles the best? And people don't realize, we talked about nutrition. Towards the end, you're not even really drinking water. Do you know what happens to your body when you're not drinking water? If you've done any sport, you know that you will cramp.
Yeah.
So now you are on this stage. It is hot. You are dehydrated. You are tired because the day is long, because the contest time, it's so much between those 24 hours. You're in there, you got to check in the day before, then you got to go in, you got to get these tans they want you to get. And then you get up very early, especially for women, because you got to get hair and makeup has to be done, because ladies, you got to look like a lady on stage. They do not want you looking like a man. That's why they got rid of bodybuilding, I believe, in the first place, because it was becoming too manly for women. So now when you see these women who are doing bodybuilding, they are way more feminine. They look good. It's just a different look. Nothing against the women who did it in the past, who want to look a certain way. That is your choice. But this is just how they've changed what they want for bodybuilding. So you got to get hair, you got to get makeup, and you got to go back in and you got to get your tan touched up again, because you may have gotten water on it or something, and you want to look best on stage. So now you've been up early, you stayed up late, and you are on this stage with no water, all these women, and they're just constantly bringing you through. Okay, you're all going to go out one by one, and then you're going to go out together. Now you got to do a routine, because depending on what division you're in, I did physique, you have to do an entire routine by yourself on stage. Really? So I think so it's good if you got to overcome certain fears, certain anxieties. If you're not a person who likes to speak or be in front of people like that, this actually may be good for you. This is going to help you break some ice, because you're going to do it. Great. And it don't even matter how good or how bad you are. Just like with anything, it's about conquering that fear. Yes. And getting out there and doing it. And each time it'll get easier.
Yes.
Because everybody doesn't have. You said something a little while ago. Everyday person. So let's be real. I'm talking about how I was eating, what I did or didn't eat. This is for competition. This is not an everyday lifestyle. So I don't want people to think that, oh, I need to go down to 500 some calories. No, that's not healthy. That is not something you do on the regular. You maintain a healthy diet and work out and exercise. If you're just doing it for everyday living, when I get out of this, I will not be doing 500 or some calories a day ever again.
Here at Str8 No Chaser, we want to make sure that we announce the following disclaimer. Do what fits you best. Do what you enjoy. Make sure you get your nutrition, whatever that means for you.
And I'll absolutely know, first of all, if you got health issues, always seek, counseling from your doctor or physician before you start any workout regimen. Don't just go out there rogue doing something that's going to cause injury because you saw somebody doing it on a YouTube video or on Instagram. No, take care of your body.
And it's interesting that you say that. We're going to segue real quick and then come back. But it's interesting that you see that because inevitably, when you're in the health club, and if you're someone who's there on the regular, you kind of know those people that cycle in from January to the end of February, and then from beginning of middle April, beginning of May through the end of June, July, because they're there. And you can tell that they're trying to find their way. And inevitably, there will be videos of people doing exercises, and you're just like, what are they doing? They're going to hurt themselves. And while in some instances,
right.
it may create a good laugh, you can also hurt yourself in the process. So Absolutely. This is something, no matter what level you're at, something to be taken seriously because health and wellness, at least for me, and I know for you, but just in general, I view health and wellness as a very serious matter and something not to be taken lightly. So we definitely want to make sure, and I'm glad that you brought that up. We definitely want to make sure that we respect that. So.
Shucks, and not even just the people who cycle in though, because you have some very fit people who are doing some crazy unnecessary exercises for likes on the gram.
Or attention.
So some of those don't be repeated either.
I'm starting to feel personally attacked over here.
Is that what you're doing?
I may have done something a little extra if I saw somebody looking, or if the guys over there grunting a little loud. I have to make sure, you grunting, but I'm stunting. We still go front. Look, they grunting, I'm stunting, we still go fronting. But that's what it's about. It's what works for you ultimately. Mm-hmm. We talked about the diet. We talked about kind of getting started, making that commitment, making that decision to follow through on it. A little bit about the nutrition. Well, we talked in depth a little bit about the nutritional component. Posing, getting to the stage. Tell me, what was it like for you the first time you walked on stage?
I love attention. It was great. Come on, make a plan. I put together my whole posing routine and I went out, and I've always had this mentality, I ain't gonna never look like I ain't never done something before. Yes. So even though I get nervous like everybody else, I have nerves and I deal with stuff, but I learned a long time ago how to hide it and go out there and pretend like I've been doing this forever. Yes. But then when the support system is so great because everybody knows how much work everybody put into it. So when you go out there and like for me, I went out there and I just kind of zoned in on one judge in particular. It was a Black female there. And when she looked up at me and just smiled and nodded her head, that was good enough for me. Whatever happened from this point forward, I did my best. I'm doing my best. And I'm good. So it's really, man, another young lady, she's in her 20s, never did sports because she was homeschooled. So she also was on the stage for the first time with me. When she got up, she was extremely nervous, not having ever been in front of people like that. But you could just see her whole body language change when she got out there. the confidence, and I don't even think she's been the same since. Like her confidence level, now she's starting to train people. It's just a whole different person because it brings something out of you that you probably didn't even know you had.
Yes.
And not that this is the only sport that'll do that. Doing what you're doing, getting in front of people, talking, those things bring something out of you and it builds you up. This bodybuilding thing, man, you have to have like a leadership mentality to do this kind of work. I just think I believe that it's positive, whether you trying to get to an Olympia stage or be the greatest at it or not. It just shows you. I didn't know that I had as much strength in me as I do. Like for real, it just you learn so much about yourself and what you can and what you cannot handle. And oh, this is too much. You don't know what's too much happening. Mine will tell you you're done sometimes, but you gotta fight that thing right there. You gotta fight it, and you'll find out, man, I'm bigger than what I thought I was. I'm better than what I thought I was. Forget bodybuilding in life. Ain't nothing I can't handle if I really put my mind to it. I can accomplish it all.
You know, it's great that you said that because we got a couple minutes. I want to be mindful of the time. We got a couple minutes left in our segment, but I think that you hit on something really important, and that's the empowerment aspect of it. You know, whether it's something that you built on that you've already had within you, or something that you did that you realized that you didn't have in you before, and now it's been able to come to the forefront, and now you're able to show that or show a different side of you. So I think, you know, the empowerment aspect of it, I think that's huge. And I'm glad that you touched on that because, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, when you are successful, or even when you're able just to follow through on a commitment to something or dare to try something different, just the completion of it can be empowering. It can create a level of confidence and things like that. So I'm glad that you touched on that. I think that's something that's key.
Yeah, and there's so many aspects to this thing. So many aspects that I even at some point want to do a roundtable discussion about the effects. There are mental health issues with bodybuilding. So many different issues that go into bodybuilding. So it is a wonderful sport, but that is probably the aspect that I'll delve into more later in my future. Is all the stuff that I've learned from this journey.
You know, and that's a great segue. We have 2 minutes. I just want to ask you one last question. And again, I appreciate you sharing your story. And I know we can go on and on regarding, because I've got so many questions, and I know there are going to be questions that will come up. But just briefly, what are your aspirations now that you've gone from, you know, having this goal, this dream, this shortly realized dream and goal to, you know, continuing on and evolving within the sport? Briefly, real quick, what are your aspirations, or what are the next steps that you have for yourself?
Yeah, easy answer. I'm going to do another competition. I don't know how many years I'll compete, but I know this year I will compete. But the ultimate goal is to now take all the information I've learned from this sport, the different issues, women not being able to have children and stuff like that, and begin to heal and address those issues in bodybuilders.
You know what? I think that's awesome. I think you will be great at it because the passion and the energy comes out of you. I think that's a great way to end our segment because it doesn't get any better than that, because you were able to take that, harness it, and now you're able to pay it forward and move it forward. So Ursula, thank you for joining our segment today. And guys at home, thank you for checking out another segment of Str8 No Chaser. Be blessed, everyone.
Bye.